Playing by the rules, playing by the rules. Don't touch the rule book again. Yeah. Hello, and welcome to Playing by the Rules. My name is Joe, and today we're going to be learning how to play Ticket to Ride. This game is brought to us by Days of Wonder, and in this game, you will be placing trains along a continent in order to complete train routes and to score points. At the end of the game, the player with the most points will win the game. This game can be played with anywhere from 2 to 5 players and takes about 30 to 60 minutes to play. Let me show you how to set up. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do to set up is to place out our game board. Now I'm playing with the North American game board, but Ticket to Ride is very popular and they make game boards from all across the world for you to play on. The next thing you're going to need to do to set up is to pick a color. I'll pick blue because I like blue. And first you'll get your trains, which will be used to place throughout the board to reach your different routes and score your points. The next thing you're going to need is this little score token. This will be used at the end of the game to score the points along this little track around the board to figure out who wins the game. Now, the official rules do say that you're supposed to score your points as you go throughout the game, but I have found that it is easier to just wait till the very end and score all your points then. So that's what we're going to do. And then, if we're going to play with some friends here, we'll have a red player. He'll be over here on this side of the game board. We'll have a green player. He'll be over here on this side of the game board. And we won't play with these guys, so we can just put them back in the box. Okay, next. We are going to deal out our train deck here. This deck is full of many different colors of trains. We have the yellow, the white, the red, the black, the orange, the pink, the blue, the green, and a wild. These cards are used to pay for your trains that you are going to place on the board. Each color represents a color throughout the board. Now you'll notice there aren't any gray color. That is because the gray spaces are wild spaces. So you will need to play that many cards of the same color. So here, you'll just need to play 2 cards of the same color. They can be green, blue, pink, red, black, whatever. Here, you'll need to place 4 cards, but they must be red. So the colored ones have to be that color. The gray can be any color, but they have to be the same color in that amount of cards. Now obviously the wild card is wild. You can play it anywhere you want to fill in for whatever color you might need at that point in time. So for setup reasons, we'll take those cards. We'll just give them a good old shuffle here. And then we deal out 5 cards in the middle of the playing area face up so that everybody can see them. And then you'll just set the stack of cards there. You will also deal out 4 cards to each player to have as a starting hand. Last thing we need to do to set up is to take our train tickets. Now, these tickets will show you where you need to build your trains in order to score points and win the game. So, we'll look at the bottom one here. It says Kansas City to Houston. So we got Houston down here, we got Kansas City up here. So we need to build a train that goes from Kansas City down to Houston. Our train does not necessarily have to be in this nice straight line. We can have a train that comes up over and around and over here all the way up to Kansas City. It can go anywhere on the map as long as you have an unbroken train that hits Houston and Kansas City. You will be able to score those points at the end of the game. On a side note, if you do take this card and say, oh, I'm going to complete this train route, and then someone blocks you or something happens and you can't, you will lose 5 points at the end of the game. So they do count negatively against you and subtract from your score. So you don't want to take too many train tickets if you don't think you can complete them all. So we'll shuffle our train tickets, and you'll start by dealing 3 of those out to each player at the beginning of the game. Now before the game begins, that player gets to pick which 3 of those they want to keep. They must keep 2 of them, but they can keep all 3 if they all work very well together. Let me show you how to take a turn. So, on your turn, you are allowed to do one of 3 different actions. The first action which you're allowed to do is to draw cards. Now you can draw cards from any of these 5 down here, or a random one from the top of this deck. You are allowed to draw 2 different cards on your turn unless you get a wild. So let me start by taking these 2 reds. We'll flip over the next 2 cards to show them so that the next player gets the same amount of options. Now, if the next player wants to draw this wild, they are allowed to do that, but that is the only card they will be getting that turn. If you happen to draw a wild from the random deck, you do get 2 cards still, even if you get that wild. That way you don't have to announce those random cards that you will have drawn. The next action, which you are allowed to do on your turn, is to play trains. In order to play trains, you will need to pay cards from your hand to place them on the board. So I have these 2 reds that I just picked up. I can pay those to build my train, a 2-long train of red. So I can go right here on this gray space because it's 2 long, and grays can be any color like I explained earlier. So the last action which you're allowed to do on your turn is to take train tickets. Now to do this, you'll just draw the top 3 train tickets, and then by the time your next turn comes, you will have to decide which out of these 3 train tickets you want to keep. You can keep all of them if you would like, but you must keep one of them. Whichever ones you do keep, you will add to your train ticket pile over here, which is supposed to be secret and private so other people don't know what you're working on. I have mine flipped up for the sake of this video, but they are supposed to be secret, so you want to keep them in like a face down pile like that. Play will continue clockwise until one player has played all but 2 or fewer of their trains. This will trigger the last round. Each player at that point will get 1 more turn to try to place trains on the board before scoring will begin. This does include the player who has triggered the last round. So now that everybody has taken their final turn, we will start final scoring. So we'll take our score tokens and we'll put it over here on number 100. Then the first scoring which we'll do is figure out who has the longest train. The green player has 12 trains from dot to dot that connect. The red player has 18 and the blue player has 38. So blue is the obvious winner here. They get 10 points for having the longest train. The next scoring which we'll do is to add up each player's train tickets. The green player had 30 points. So they're all the way over here at 30. The red player had 32 points, so barely ahead of him. And the blue player had 24 points. So they're all the way over here at 34. However, the blue player did not complete this route from New Orleans to Montreal. They were just off by 1 train before they ran out and made the game end. So they will get docked 13 points, putting them back here at 21. Now the last thing we'll need to do to score the game is to calculate how many points each person's trains are worth. Ticket to Ride is nice. Provides us with a nice little handy score sheet down here in the corner. So if your train is 1 long, you'll get 1 point. If your train is 2 long, you get 2 points. If your train is 3 long, you get 4 points. If your train is 4 long, you get 7 points. If your train is 5 long, you get 10 points. And if the train is 6 long, you get 15 points. So I quickly pulled off all the trains, added up all the points, and green ended with 62, red ended with 77, and blue won the game with 93 points. So even though they had that train ticket that hurt them, it wasn't as bad as getting the longest train and placing all of the trains on the board. Thank you for learning how to play Ticket to Ride with me. This has been Joe
with playing by the rules. Make sure you like and subscribe, and join me for my next game over here.